So I looked up how these councils get their money and how much they get, because I was genuinely curious as to how they spent their money. So I'm reading this article and it's saying this council's going bankrupt, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, wow, how can they go bankrupt? They get all the money for free. They know what they're going to be spending and they know how much they're going to get. So there's clearly massive mismanagement in public funds here, which is actually a criminal offence. Yeah. So they need to investigate that, number one. But I was genuinely curious. How much do they get? I was like, so I looked at Enfield Council and I said, how much do they get? Do they get maybe 5 million, 10 million a year? Because a lot of it is funded by the government and through our tax money, but they don't have to pay for everything. So they ain't got to pay for the roads. They ain't got to pay for hospitals. Sometimes they pay for certain schools. So academies, they don't. They get their funding direct. So they ain't got to pay for that academy because they're getting their funding direct. So they're actually getting more money and they have to spend less than actually is. I'm very curious to look at exact numbers. I can probably predict staffing is going to be where most of the money is wasted, in my opinion. This is the interesting part. Enfield Council received 174 million, and they probably received more, I think last year. And I was like, that's a lot of money. Basically, they're getting £500,000 per year to say they're bankrupt. And every bit of their service is more and more diminished. So actually, I'm lying here. They got 318 million net revenue budget. Wow. And it's going to go up to 353, 364 the next year, 384, 395. It's crazy. Like, go into wherever you live. This is where I used to live. So I thought I'd look it up because it's a bigger area. And I was like, the council tax is going up by 2.3%. They're just trying to raise more funds to waste more money. And I, for one, hate paying tax. But what I really hate is paying tax that gets wasted even more. I would say, oh, I hate paying tax, but at least it helped keep the hospitals running and the nurses got paid fairly. Yeah? What I hate paying is I paid here and they opened a migrant hotel for asylum seekers. And I paid for that. And the nurse has to get a second job. And the doctor's barely surviving. And the fire brigade is thinking about moving abroad. Yeah? I don't want to do that. That's definitely what I don't want to do. So how can these councils be... And no one stepped in. No one's doing nothing. It's like everyone's just saying, oh, they went bankrupt. Let's give them a bit more money. Like, no one went in. Imagine you were the CEO and you owned chains of shops, and every single county in the country. So you had a McDonald's everywhere. And somebody said to you that McDonald's has gone bankrupt. They're losing money. Would you say, okay, let's give them more money? You would say, hold on, I'm going to go down there. I'm going to find out what's going on. Where are you spending the money? Because no one else has the problem. Why have you got the problem? And they're just going to pay the cost of living crisis. But unemployment's 4.6%. So it's like, it's not like you have extra staff. You're taking the bins less. You're doing everything. I don't want to ramble on, but I was just genuinely curious. Go and look at your local authority and see how they're actually doing. Because, look, it breaks down exactly where they're spending it. I want to see where they're spending it the most. They've got a category for inflation and pay award. So they're awarding people. They're giving people bonuses. 17 million. 10%. So 10%... No, sorry, I'm lying. That was the old number. They're awarding probably around 4 or 5% in bonuses. Why are they getting bonuses? They've got weird categories, man. Levies. Corporate gets more than pretty much every category. Wow. Wow, even the chief exec's got his own category. I'll link this in the description. You can all have a look at it. But genuinely, you only have to look at that. I can establish where they're wasting the money. And I'm sure there'll be better people that have worked for less money and not accept the bonus and would still do that job to a high level. It's just totally ridiculous. But look, anyway, Let me know what you think. All the best and take care.